us on YouTube live stream. Now, before we get into today's idea, before we start talking about today's topic, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little review of what has been discussed in the previous week so that all of you who has not been there in the last week can have a little idea of what we have been discussing and what we are getting into today so that the link up can be made between the last week and this week, and you can have a better understanding of the idea that we are about to share with you today here. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, for letting me know. And it's amazing to have you here from all over the world. It's always a pleasure speaking to you guys and sharing this information with you. All right, that's perfect. All right, guys. So this month we have started studying this amazing book called as Your Invisible Power by Genevieve B. Rand. Although this is a very small book, but I still believe that this is one of the best books by far I have ever read when it comes to learning about manifestation, and especially when it comes to learning about visualization. Now, in terms of understanding the mindset and in terms of understanding the spiritual concepts behind visualization, this book teaches you everything. This book actually helps you to build up the foundation of, why visualization is necessary for us, how we should visualize, what we should understand while we're visualizing, and what are the things we have to avoid, while we're doing the visualization. So there are a lot of key elements that this book share light upon. And last week, we touched upon the first chapter of the book, which talks about what is the reason of visualizing your heart's desire. And that's what I'm going to just quickly review again for you guys, because I know some of you has not been there in the last week call. So it's always good to know about, what has happened in the last week, have that little breather so that we can tie up the connection between whatever has been discussed before and what we are getting into. Now, one of the key concepts that we discussed last week was to understand that visualization puts things or bring things into order. Now, when we say that visualization bring things into order, we have to understand that, order is the first law of heaven. Now, when we say that order is the first law of heaven, we have to understand that if visualization bring things into order, that means it is heavenly to visualize. It is heavenly to visualize, the things that you want to visualize, your heart's desire, the things that you want to achieve, the things that you want to accomplish. And order, bringing order into your life, I believe, by far is one of the most important things that we have to do. Because if we do not have order in our life, we will never be achieving the things that we want to achieve. Think about your daily schedule. When you don't know what you have to do, how does you feel on those certain days? For example, if you do not have a plan set for your day, you don't know, okay, I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, or just a rough idea. When you do not have that rough idea, what's going on in your head at that time? And at that time, your mind is filled with zillions of ideas, and most probably you will end up doing nothing. Now, think about those days when you have just, let's say, have just 3 things on your list, and you have told yourself that, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to accomplish today. What happened on those certain days? On those certain days, you have order in your mind. Now, as soon as you have that order in your mind, what happens is that you gain clarity. And when you gain clarity, you develop focus. And when you develop focus, you end up doing things in a better way, or I must say you end up doing more things as comparison to any other day. And this is exactly what happens when you start visualizing your heart's desire, when you start visualizing what you want to accomplish in your life. Because when you bring order into your mind, you actually, just speed up the process of manifestation. You actually speed up everything in your life. And this is what we discussed last week. We discussed why it is important to have order in your life. And then we talk about, how we can bring that order in terms of visualizing our goal. And one of the ways is that it's very simple and easy technique that get into a habit of visualizing your goal every single day. But before you do that, it is very important that you have a written script of things that you want to accomplish. Because when you have a written script of your life, as you want your life to be, then every single day you can review your script. Or if not every single day, maybe after a few weeks, few months, you can review your script. And then you can think, okay, is there any changes that I want to make into the script? Because understand that the more description or the more detailed ideas you have, the better will be the clarity. And that's what we're talking about, order. More clarity leads to more order, and better order leads to better focus, which ultimately leads to everything that ties up with this process and all together. Now, today, we're going to dig deep into the idea of how we can manifest, the things that we want to manifest in our life. Now, let's have a look at that for now. So your invisible power, we have been talking about it for now, okay? Now, let's have a look at this idea here. How to manifest what you want. Now, read this line and pay attention to the letters and the words that has been, intentionally bolded and changed in color. The power within you, which enables you to form a thought picture, is the starting point of all there is. Now, I want you to think about it. Now, what is this power that is within us that we are talking about here? Or the author in this book, Genevieve B. Rand is talking about in this book, Your Invisible Power. Think about it for a minute. What is that power that we are talking about? Which says that the power enables us to form a thought picture, and this is the starting point of all there is. Now, in my understanding, in my opinion, that starting point or that power that enables us is the power of building thoughts. It's the power of building thought ideas in our conscious mind. And this is the starting point of all manifestation. Now, what is that ability that gives us, or I must say that, what is that power that gives us the ability to build our thoughts? Now, in order to understand that, we have to get back to that idea of our mind. We have to understand it on a diagram. Let's have a look here. We have our mind here and our body, and we have our conscious mind and subconscious mind. And we have this little dumbbell-shaped element that we call as our brain. Now, we are talking about the power that is within us that enables us to build a thought picture. Now, what is that power? That power is our higher faculties. We have these higher faculties in our conscious mind, which is imagination, intuition, reason, will, memory, and perception. And these abilities all together, combined together, helps us to build that thought picture. Now, in most of the cases, in most of the people's, cases, 95% of the time, they allow these powers to unconsciously control the thought pictures that they're building in their mind. But what happens when we start visualizing and when we have a script, we are taking a conscious control of the images that we are building here. And that is the real thing that we are discussing here, right? Now, so as I said, these higher faculties that we have here are imagination, okay, intuition, reason, will, memory, and perception. Okay, now let us have a look at how these higher faculties helps us to build this thought picture in our conscious mind. Because at the end of the day, if this thought picture is not correct or is not in line with our goals and not in line with our dreams, the chances of us achieving what we want to achieve are very slim. Because then this thought picture will be controlled by all the limited beliefs or all the negative ideas or whatever the programming that has been done in our subconscious mind. So there are only one way or another for you to actually build this picture. Now let's look at the first faculty here, which is called as perception. Now, if you are someone who always have this perception towards life that it is difficult for me to achieve this goal, or it is difficult for me to, let's say, earn more money, or it is difficult for me to have quality of clients, or whatever that idea can be. If you're having that kind of perception, think about what kind of thoughts you will be building in your conscious mind. And it's pretty clear, right? If you're having a negative perception towards life, If you're having a negative belief systems towards life, very surely the thought picture that you're building in your conscious mind is going to be negative. The thought picture that you're building in your conscious mind is going to be completely not syncing with the goals that you have for yourself. And what is written in the first line? The power within you, which enables you to form a thought picture, is the starting point of all there is. And if that thought picture is the starting point, and if this is the place where we are messing up everything, think about what consequences we are leading our life into then. And if you look at the other, the higher faculties, reasoning gives you the ability to think. That means your perception, whatever perception you're having towards life, it comes by the right or the wrong use of reasoning, or vice versa. For example, if you're having the right perception towards life, your thinking is going to be positive and optimistic. Or in a different way, if your thinking is positive, you're going to have positive perception towards life. You see how these faculties are interlinked with each other. But what defines is that how we use them in our life on a day-to-day basis. And it's not about just big things that matters, it's about the smallest things in our life. How we have our perception, even in the smallest things in our life, actually determines a lot what happens when it comes to the bigger things or bigger pictures in our life. Usually when I speak to people, I always tell them that, if you're thinking negative for just a tiniest thing in your life, I can bet you will be thinking negative when it comes to the biggest thing in your life. Or for example, if you're having a negative perception towards anyone in your life, I can assure you're going to have a negative perception when it comes to you, when it comes to the things that matters to you the most. So your perception, you might say that, no, it varies, it changes, it does. But the thing is that the central idea of your perception, your thinking, your reasoning, that remains the same. And if you want to bring a bigger shift in your life, the starting point should be building and developing that thought picture. And there is a scientific reason why we should have that thought picture as clear as possible in our mind. And that's what I'm going to explain you in just a few minutes from now. But for now, I want you to understand that the starting point of everything is that thought picture that enables you to move in the direction where you want to move. Now, let's have a look at the next slide here. And as I told you, keep the idea of higher faculties in your mind as we go along. Now, have a look at this key idea, okay? Now, this explains a lot about visualization, or I must say this explains everything about visualization. Now, I'm going to give you a very old example, but let's twist it a little bit, okay? Let's say we have a projector here, okay? And let's assume that this is a big screen on the side, all right? So we have a projector here and we have a big screen here. Now, this projector has the ability to project an image or a video on the screen, right? But can you guess that which image or video it can project on the screen? And the answer is that it can only project the image or the video on the screen that is fed into the memory of the projector. Or in other words, let's say if this projector is operated with the pen drive, and whatever images and videos you have in this pen drive are going to be projected on the screen. Now, let's relate this ideology or this, example when it comes to our mind. In your mind, any idea that is projected on your physical world as the form of a result will be based upon what images consciously or unconsciously has been impressed into your subconscious mind. They're always going to be in sync. And if you understood this analogy, and if you let this sink into your mind, and if you let this become the thinking point or the starting point of your thinking, you will realize that there is a power in this small but very significant analogy that we have just discussed here. Now, in the previous page, we talked about the importance of having that thought, right? We talked about having that image in our conscious mind by using our higher faculties. But now we're looking at that there is a relation between the images in our subconscious mind and the results that we are getting in our life. And to do this, now it's a different thing to build an image in your conscious mind. But to take that image from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind require the process of visualization. And that's what this powerful book teaches you, your invisible power. This book teaches you the mindset. This book teaches you the principles behind why visualization is really, really significant and important when it comes to manifesting your dreams, when it comes to manifesting what you want to manifest. Now, in the rest of the session, we're going to look at how we can actually let that image from the conscious mind impress itself onto the subconscious mind. What are the other faculties that plays an important role in holding and building the picture in our conscious mind and then letting it to sink into the subconscious mind? And this is very interesting stuff here. Now, let's have a look at this. Now, these two small paragraphs can impact your life in a big way when you understand them consciously and when you let them become part of your thinking mechanism. Let's read the first paragraph here. They say that visualizing without a will, sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your pictured thought would be as useless as a magic lantern without a light, or we can say that a projector without a power supply. Now think about a projector that doesn't have a power supply. If a projector doesn't have a power supply, it won't be able to project any image on the screen. Why? Because it is not turned on. It is not switched on. And similarly, you can have an image in your conscious mind. You can have an image of what you want in your conscious mind. You can have an image of the money that you want to make, or you can have an image of the job that you want to acquire, or you can have an image of the book that you're writing in right now, or you can have an image of, let's say, anything that you want to achieve in your life. But if you're not constantly holding on to that image by using your willpower and understand that there is an internal will and there is an external will, right? And we have to use both of them in order to stay on track. Internal will comes from visualizing constantly and consistently every single day, putting in the effort, believing in yourself and reprogramming your subconscious mind. And the external will comes from, just reminding yourself that, all right, I am the one who has to take ownership. So it's like the internal and external dialogues that we have to use on a consistent basis. And when we use those internal and external dialogues in combination, we can actually end up getting far better results in our life than we think that we are capable of doing right now. So it's a combination of that internal and external methodologies that we have to use in combination in order to achieve the results. So you see, willpower, that is the key element. Now let's have a look at the next paragraph. It says that try projecting your picture in a magic lantern with a light that is constantly shifting from one side to another, and you will produce the effect of an uncertain will. That's another example of, let's think about that projector again. And imagine the light in the projector is fluctuating. And if the light in the projector is fluctuating, what is the kind of output you think will be on the screen? That is going to be a fluctuating output. You may not be able to see the image properly. You may not be able to see the video properly. And that's the exact same thing happen in your mind. When you allow the ideas in your mind from, bump from one idea to another, shift from one idea to another, go from this plane to that plane, go from this idea to that idea, and you're not holding them with a strong will, that will reflect back into your results. Your results will be inconsistent. Your results will, sometimes they will be pretty good. Sometimes they will be shabby. Sometimes they will be not good at all. And this happens with everyone. There is nothing to feel bad about it, but there is something that we need to learn from it. If you have experienced those up and down results in your life, if you have experienced those uncertain results in your life, if you have experienced those results where 1 week is like breaking the records, and other next week is like going back to the basics, and there is nothing there, then you need to understand that you have to really focus on holding on to your scripts, holding on to the visualization, holding on to the ideas that you manifest, that you want to manifest in your life. And this is really, really vital. This is really, really vital. But along with this whole process, what is even more important is the joyous assurance with which you make your picture is the very powerful magnet of faith. You know, Napoleon Hill talks a lot about faith, and there has been many authors that talks about faith. People talks about why having a strong faith is important in order to manifest our dream life, in order to manifest our goals, in order to manifest whatever we want to manifest. But understand that if you're building that script, you know, of if you're, let's say you're visualizing your ideal life, but while visualizing, if you're having doubt, if you're having fears in that visualization process, that means somehow, somewhere, you don't trust the process. And that comes from when we are allowing, you know, our trust to be in someone other's hand. For example, if you read the second line here, you will understand what I'm trying to say. You should understand where the source of your supply is. When you think about your source of supply, what do you think about it? Think about it for a minute. You know, usually what happens when people think about source of supply, they think about maybe the company they're working with. They think about someone, you know, outside in the world who's going to help them, who's going to support them. Let me tell you, those are not the, you know, they are the just temporary sources of supply for you. Or I must say, they are the secondary source of supply for you. They're not the primary source of supply. Your primary source of supply is this infinite intelligence, this universe around us, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to name it, it's up to you. You want to name it as God? Perfect. Go ahead and do it. You want to name it as infinite intelligence? Go ahead and do it. But understand that that God, that universe is your source of supply. And everything that else, you know, that comes after it is coming to you through that source of supply. For example, let's say you are working on a book, right? And you are stuck on a certain idea, and you find someone who just really sparks something in your mind, and you say, wow, I'm really thankful to you. You should be thankful to them. But at the same time, you should understand that that person has been sent to you for a cause, for a purpose, because you have been thinking about something, and there is a power, there is a supply that you touched consciously or unconsciously, and through someone, you get the answer that you wanted to have in your life. And understand that we are living right now, we are having a physical experience on this planet, right? So whatever we want, whatever we desire for us will come through other people to us. For example, if you're running a business, right, and you want to make a lot of money, that money is going to come through other people to you. That money is going to be here from other people, right? And they are part of your success. They are part of, but they're not the primary causes, right? They are the secondary causes. And that is very important for us to understand. And when we put our trust and faith in that divine universe, that this is my source of supply, and when we trust that, you know, like without any question, we will find people, we will find resources, we will find everything that we need in order to manifest our dream life, or in order to manifest whatever we want to manifest. Now, let's understand, you know, on a diagram, like how does this actually happen? Because I always believe that having a picture clarifies a lot of things in our mind. Now, this is the diagram of our mind and body that we usually use: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the body. Now, let us understand that when we are holding on to the ideas of our dreams, okay, and when we consciously and deliberately visualize them, in other words, we are getting emotionally involved with these ideas and these dreams. We are not only impressing these ideas to the subconscious mind, but at the same time, we are impressing these ideas on the subconscious mind of divine universe. In another way, we can say that at the same time, we are sending, or we are transmitting these ideas to the divine universe. Now, when we are doing this, the divine universe responds back to us. And it can respond back to us in ways we cannot even think about. Sometimes the universe can respond to you just in the form of a book, you know. For example, you might be stuck in your life and you have been visualizing to get better at it, and you have been visualizing to find your answer. And all of a sudden, you had the hunch that maybe I should go and read this book. And the moment you started reading this book, and bang, like this, there is a line, there's a paragraph that's stuck in your hand, and you thought, oh, wow, I think that's my answer. And you know what? This is what the magical about getting an answer from the universe, that you cannot predict how it will come. But if you believe it will come to you, because that answer is inevitable as long as you have that image firmly fixed into your subconscious mind, and you're consciously and deliberately thinking about it, and you're just building in that direction, and you're just moving forward with the belief that that power is never failing. And other times that response can be through some friend or some strangers. For example, let's say, you're thinking about, let's say you have been thinking about building your business and you're having a struggle getting more clients or something like that. And all of a sudden you had a conversation with someone who was doing something similar kind of business, and they just speak to you and they give you some ideas and they say, oh, you know what, maybe you should try that. And all of a sudden you're like, maybe that could be a good thing for me to try. And when you tried it, bang, you got the results. And you know what? As long as we see this information with curiosity, because I always tell that if you see this information with curiosity, with a childlike imagination, you're going to get the results that people, who think at this information like being stubborn will never get, because they're operating with an idea of that this information doesn't work. But when you open up your mind to the idea that this information works, when you open up your mind to the idea that miracles are bound to happen, and when you open up your mind to the idea that magic exists within you and outside you, and all it takes is you to take that first step, you're going to attract the things that you could have never, ever imagined before. And I can tell you from my experience, like I started studying this information way back in 2014. So it has been more than 10 years now studying this information, right? And the results has been miraculous. Whatever I have done in the last 11 years, I can say that I'm really proud of it. And there has been instances where I doubted myself. For sure, I do. But then I learn over time that the more you have faith and believe in yourself, and you take the courage, and you have the courage to take the step that has to be taken in that place, you will get the results that you want. And this is very, very important. And from today's lesson, from the chapter 2 of this book, if there is any idea that I want you to take away with you today, is this idea that number one, when you are building that visualization script for yourself, you should have that joyous assurance in your mind already with the faith that I know it's bound to happen. I know I'm bound to achieve this. I know I'm bound to accomplish my goal. I know I'm bound to get the results that I want to get. And when you have that kind of faith and you put your belief and trust in the divine universal power, you will get the results that you're seeking. You will definitely and surely will get the results sooner than later, as long as you hold on to that image. All right. So with that note, we are going to move towards, if we have any questions either on YouTube or here in Zoom chat, we'll be taking those questions for now. And then we will just wrap up this session for today. I think we already have one question here. Let me have a look at here. Exactly. It doesn't matter. So that's what we have to understand, that, even if it's the smallest help or the biggest help, we should not, as I told you, we see things as smallest or biggest when we compare it with one thing or another. All right. But that's where the joy is. Once you start recognizing those small things that are happening on a daily basis, right? Once you start seeing those small little changes, or once you start seeing those small little achievements that you're having, or maybe someone that you helped, even if it could be a smallest one, that adds up to the overall vibration. That adds up to the overall faith and belief that we have in ourselves and in this power. And in the longer run, it just really helps us. It just really helps us to achieve whatever we want to achieve, right? And yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's small or big. We receive, the source of our help is always the universe. And the more strongest is our faith and belief, the more help we will receive from that channel. All right. And those who don't know about the book that we are reading this book, Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. All right. I'll be sending that later on in our group, the PDF one, so that you all can have it and you can go through it. Okay. Now, the thing is that, if we talk about the past karma, does it affect our results or not? The only thing that I know, and I can tell you from experience, is that as long as you're aware about your past karma, whatever it is, forgive yourself. That's what we call as working with the law. If you have done something bad, and first of all, you need to recognize that there was a mistake that you made. It could be anything. And then forgive yourself, because understand that we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But as long as you appreciate, or I must say that as long as you acknowledge the fact that you did that mistake, whether it was conscious, intentionally, unintentionally, whatever the reason was, that's not the important point here. But the important point here is, number one, acknowledge the fact that you made that mistake. And then you forgive yourself from the bottom of your heart. And then you focus on the best you can do right now. And then while working with the law, you're always creating that new reality. Those people who said that you will always get the results of your past karma, you do get it until or unless you do not acknowledge the fact that you made mistakes. And then you really start working with the law again. How much time it takes to bounce back, nobody knows. But as long as you understand within your heart that there is a mistake that you made, and then you just forgive yourself for it. For some people, in some cases, it might be a very tough thing. That depends upon the intensity of the mistake or how you take it. In other cases, it might be pretty simple and pretty easy. So let's not judge it based upon how hard and how easy it is, but let us understand that as long as we forgive ourselves, as long as we acknowledge the fact that we made that mistake, and then we move forward with the law, you can always create your new reality, and you can always create your new results from that point onwards. That's what I can say based upon whatever I have learned and understood about this information so far. And I hope that helps you, and I hope that answers your question. All right. Perfect. All right. Let me see. There's another question that we have. Exactly. When we talk about forgiveness, it's always two-way thing. You should forgive yourself, and you should forgive everyone around you who ever have done any bad to you, because there is no point holding grudges to anyone or even to yourself, right? If there is someone who has done something bad to you, you just forgive themselves. Understand that forgiving is not for the person that you're forgiving. It's for you to let go of the negative energy and baggage that you're holding on your heart because of that person. And then after that, whatever's going to happen to them, nobody knows, nobody can guess. We can just make speculations about it, but understand that you forgive them for your own good, and you forgive yourself for your own good, nothing else. Because this life is too small and it is too precious to be wasted for those kind of things. All right. So yes, forgive yourself, forgive others, and you can have a great results and great life. All right. Perfect. Do we have any more questions, anybody? And I hope these answers has really helped you to gain a better understanding and better perspective about all the questions that has being asked. All right. Perfect. We have another question. I think I have missed that one. I'll take that one for now. Is there any way or signs that the source is helping us? Perfect. Initially, when you start working, or you start understanding this philosophy, it may be difficult for you to understand the signs from the universe. It may be difficult for you to even understand that, whether I'm having that help or not, because initially when we started practicing these ideas, we were looking for big helps. We were looking for something huge that happens that makes us believe that, oh yes, that's the sign from the universe. But let me tell you, the sign from the universe can even be like as simple as an idea that comes into your mind saying that maybe I should read this book, maybe I should speak to this person, maybe I should text them or do this or do that. So just start trusting the intuition and the hunches that you're having. And the more you start trusting that intuition and hunches that you're having, in the longer run, you will learn that how those all has been, the help from the universe in that purpose. Or in the best way, I can tell you that set a very specific goal for yourself. Forget about other things, okay? Set a very specific goal for yourself. Start moving in the direction of that goal. Consciously and deliberately visualize every single day about that goal. And then start observing the things that you start attracting. And then you will see how those things are actually in line with what you have asked for and how those things are there to help you and support you. And then the more you get better at it, the more you will understand, how those has been the signs and the helps from the universe. All right. So I must say that start from even the smallest one that you can, and then start observing it. And you will see that how those has been the signs from the universe. Okay. The more self-aware you become, the more conscious you become about it, the more you will understand those signs and symbols and a help that is coming from the universe. All right. I hope that helps you. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll have a few more minutes. Let's see if there is any question on YouTube live stream or not. And if there is any more questions here, we'll take that for now, and then we will just wrap it up. All right, now, the thing with should we share our goals before we achieve them or not, I must tell you that, work on your goals in private and celebrate them publicly. Because, not every single person around you, and I can tell you this, not every single person around you is going to give you positive vibrations when you share your goals with them. Keep it as close as you can to your heart. Don't let anybody, or don't share with anyone until or unless you have a complete faith that that person is going to encourage you. Because, sometimes people can be jealous at your goals. Sometimes people can be just so negative about your goals that this cannot be achieved. This is something big. Or sometimes people can be just concerning about, they don't want you to go for something big that you may not end up achieving. But let me tell you, if you're studying this philosophy, the other person may not be. So whatever your goal is, keep it to yourself until or unless you feel that strong enough that others' energy won't affect you. All right. But in the meantime, just keep your goals to yourself and just lock them so strongly in your heart that you don't allow anyone's energy to touch it. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So let's see if we have any further questions. If not, I believe that is the time for today's call to finish. And it has been live streamed on YouTube. So I'll be sharing the link with you later on so that anybody wants to rewatch it, you can watch it again. And I'll encourage you that study the chapter 2 of the book that we have read, Your Invisible Power, for next 1 week. Study it every single day. See what insights you can get it from it. Understand that it's the repetition of the principle that matters the most, my dear friends. It's not about reading a book once or twice. It's about reading the same chapter again and again, over and over and over and over again, until it creates a long-lasting impact on your subconscious mind. All right. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. It has been a pleasure, meeting you all and sharing this information with you today. And I'm looking forward to see you on next Sunday. Take care and have a lovely rest of the evening or the weekend, wherever in the world you are. And I'll see you on next Sunday at the same time. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.